Welcome to a new video and a new camera comparison between the Honor Magic 6 Pro versus the Honor Magic 6 RSR. So let's get started. You might think that this is the same camera setup that we have here, and the specifications look almost the same, but we have the main sensor that is different on the RSR, because we have an OV50K here, or OmniVision 9800 sensor, that has 1/1.3 inch sized sensor, but it is a slightly different kind of technology that they use here that promises better HDR and low light performance and better performance in general, even though they both have 50 megapixels. The highlight is the 180 megapixel telezoom camera here, and of course we have an ultra wide angle as well that is here basically identical. And the same goes for the front facing cameras that are also identical, 50 megapixel sensors and 3D face detection. And I think we start off with the front facing video. Here's the front-facing camera of the Magic 6 RSR Porsche edition. We have 0.8 and 1x magnification. We can record 4K 30 frames per second, which is the maximum. Sadly, there's no 60 frames per second on the front-facing camera, which is a bit of a bummer for a flagship phone in 2024. Nevertheless, at least we have 4K. What do you think about the colors, about stabilization here? Now the front-facing camera of the Magic 6 Pro. As you see, not much of a difference there. It also features autofocus, it's basically the same sensor, same kind of setup, 0.8 and 1x time zoom. And we have 4K 30 frames per second limitation in terms of what you can record. What do you think about the colors and about the stabilization here? Basically on par with the 6 RSR. If there is any difference, write it down in the comments. The main sensor on the Magic 6 RSR, it can record 4K 30 and 4K 60 frames per second. Like I said, it's a different sensor than the one that we have on the Magic 6 Pro. What do you think about the stabilization, about colors here in this situation? 4K 30 frames per second and 60 frames per second. I can switch between all back or main lenses. So I can go to the ultra wide angle, and you can see the ultra wide angle here. You can see Timmy is with me. So this is why I'm walking a little bit weird sometimes. And there's some other dog around here. So this is why Timmy is a bit upset maybe and pulling a bit. Nevertheless, what do you think about the ultra wide angle and its performance here? And we can also try to do a little zoom test here on this kind of statue that we have. Yeah, let's try to get this done. 2.6 times zoom. This is how it looks like, and I can zoom in even further up to 10 times maximum. What do you think about the quality here? Okay, now I'm recording with the Magic 6 Pro. I would love to record side by side, but it's impossible when I'm holding Timmy on my leash here. 4K 30, 4K 60 frames per second, same specifications, just a different main camera sensor, same variable aperture that I forgot to talk about, but it's like the same variable aperture that we have here, same kind of mechanism. You can also record 4K 30 and 60 and switch to the ultra wide angle with a tap of a button. This is the ultra wide angle. Timmy is, as you can see here, still with me, pulling because he found some nuts, I think, in the grass, in the green grass there. Nevertheless, he's walking now, so he can walk a bit forward and perform the little zoom test at the same position that I was in just a second ago. So let me try to zoom on the statue there in the background. 2.5 times zoom. This is how it looks like, and we can zoom in up to 10 times. So what do you think about this here? Timmy pulling stabilization test as well. So what do you think about this one here in comparison to the R? Front-facing video comparison. What do you see here on first glance? It appears to be a bit overblown here on the 6 RSR. It appears to be a little more contrasty on the 6 RSR, but also a bit blurrier than on the Magic 6 Pro. Why is this the case? And I can tell you why. Look at this. I think I see, or I look like I am in focus here, where on the Pro it looks like the background is in focus and the foreground is slightly out of focus. So I am slightly out of focus. So in general, what I see in this scene at least is the Magic 6 RSR has me slightly more in focus than the 6 Pro is doing. Let's go to also the one-time zoom at one point. There we go. And where we can also compare it again. Yeah, I'm in focus. The background is clearly blurry. Where here in the Magic 6 Pro,
the background is way more in focus and I am a bit more blurry. So I think the autofocus is working a bit better on the front-facing camera on the Magic 6 RSR. Main camera video footage, the only thing that I notice here against the 6 Pro is that the 6 RSR has more contrast. You can see it here in the tree in the background there, less contrasty look on the 6 Pro. And I think the 6 Pro is overdoing it a little bit with the punchiness of colors, where the 6 RSR is not doing this so much. You can see it here in the greens. And this in general leads to me saying the 6 RSR is a bit better in this regard. Also when it comes to sharpness, this is how the 6 RSR looks like, and this is how the 6 Pro looks like. You can see the 6 Pro is a bit softer there than the 6 RSR. That might be different lens design, but also sensor that play a role here. And the further we go and take a look at the ultra wide angle, what we can also see here is that again we have now a slight difference there in terms of contrast. Slight difference there in terms of colors, but it's not so huge. I think the main huge difference that you see between those two is with the main camera sensor that offers a bit better contrast, maybe also HDR on the 6 RSR, where the 6 Pro is a bit softer there. When it comes to the sharpness here on the ultra wide angle, you be the judge. Do you see much of a difference between the RSR and the 6 Pro? I think there's a bit more contrast again, and maybe towards the edges, where I can see the 6 RSR being a bit sharper than the 6 Pro, but it's like almost on par. And when you zoom in, you won't notice much of a difference there. As you can see here, it's basically the same, so the zoom lenses don't change so much there. You can just go in 100% view. This is how the 6 RSR looks like. This is how the 6 Pro looks like. Maybe a bit sharper there. Let's move this, might be because there we go to a bit of a sharper frame there, and compare this maybe also to one of the sharper frames. I probably don't get a much sharper frame there. You can see they're basically identical when it comes to this, but you see again a slightly different kind of processing here, a bit more yellow and more punchy colors, where here it's a bit cooled down. But in general, I think the Magic 6 RSR is doing a little bit better there than the Magic 6 Pro, especially with the main camera sensor. And if you combine it together with the front camera sensor, this should be giving us an advantage for the Magic 6 RSR, even though it's a very, very slight advantage here in terms of video. But what do you think? Are they basically identical, or do you see the slight advantage of the Magic 6 RSR in terms of video? The photos on the left, the RSR, on the right, the Pro. And what we can see here is the main camera sensor. So the RSR has, like I said, a different sensor, the OV50K instead of the OV50H, I think it is on the Magic 6 Pro. So what we can see here is, first of all, not a huge difference. Also in terms of HDR, where I would expect the RSR to be a bit better. But as soon as you zoom in, you will notice that there is a bit of more contrast and a bit more sharpness on the 6 RSR. And this can have to do with two things, either the sensor, the processing, or the lens. Or, what I expect here, a combination of all three of those that help the RSR to get a sharper picture here. Could be also that the focusing was wrong on the 6 Pro here, and it was focusing on something else, but I couldn't see what it is focusing on. As you can see here, everything is a bit blurry there, all over the frame. So I'm not sure what it was focusing on. And you can see the RSR much sharper there in general, and a little bit more of contrasty look there for sure as well. Let me take a look at the zoom lens, the telezoom lens, 180 megapixels. Do we see much of a difference? First glance, nothing. If I zoom in, you will probably notice nothing as well. There's not much of a difference. There's maybe a slight difference in terms of colors. As you can see here, it's about a bit more yellow there and a bit more contrasty there, where here it's not. But this is very, very slight difference there. Not much else that you can see there as a difference. Also in terms of sharpness and details, and in terms of sharpening applied to the photo itself, not much of a difference there. So same sensor, basically same processing, there's not much of a difference. Even if you zoom in further, this is now 5 times, so you have a dedicated 5 times zoom that is supposed to be lossless because it's just a crop into the 2.5 times zoom. You can see that almost no difference there at all. There might be a slight difference because I couldn't take those photos with Timmy on my side at the same time. So I have to take them one after another. So there might be a slight change, like when the 20-second difference that it took me to take one photo and the other one there. But you can see it's the same. The only thing that where you see maybe a difference is a little bit with the overblown of highlights. This has something to do maybe also with the lens, because we have a different lens setup and we have a different glass in front of the lenses. On the 6 RSR in comparison to the Magic 6 Pro. Also 2.5 times zoom. Here what I see is that a little bit of, the difference also in terms of focusing system that they're using. So laser AF on the Magic 6 Pro and the RSR using a LiDAR sensor. So you can see both are focusing on this one here. And the background is a bit blurrier on the Magic 6 Pro in general. And when we take a look at here, it is sharp. Here it is sharp as well. So maybe also a bit of a different lens setup there, because or it is sharpening things up because it's a bit blurry on the Magic 6 Pro, where it appears to be more sharper and more detailed on the 6 RSR, which is quite interesting there. Might be also the lens setup that we have on the device, or this is like artificially sharpening things up there that it shouldn't or should, I don't know. This is what I noticed for sure. And then the ultra wide angle, also the same sensor here. Interestingly enough, very bluish here for some reason, probably because so much blue in the sky there, so it makes and so much blue here with the pavilions, that it's pavilions, I don't know how they call it, that makes everything a bit blue on both, though. As you can see, it's so very consistent in terms of this one. Both have the same kind of focal length. It's basically the same kind of settings there as well. 1/2900ths of a second instead of 1/3000ths of a second. But this is just like, come on, no one will notice that. And this is in terms of sharpness, details, and so on. You will see not much of a difference. I thought maybe they have different processing and so on, but I don't think that there's a bit of different processing there. Maybe slightly bit of like this, you can see a bit more yellowish again. This is a bit less yellowish there, but it's very, very slightly. And a next shot here, just turned around, and you can see the difference in terms of how much this makes when using the main camera sensor. I thought, at least on screen, it looked like to be better HDR on the 6 RSR, but when I'm looking now at them side by side, I think they're very, very comparable here in terms of the sharpness, in terms of HDR, in terms of detail exposure, retrieval, and so on. So can you read the prices there for things to eat? That's a bit hard to read. I can tell you I paid €8 for currywurst with fries, so curry sausage with fries. This sign here against this sign, I think there's a bit sharper on the Magic 6 Pro. It looks to be a little bit fringing maybe going on the 6 RSR. Now let's take a look at portraits, because like I said, we have a different focusing system. This is now 2.5 times focusing a portrait shot there. We can see that the artificial background blur failed a little bit here because it's a bit sharper than it should be, where here it is a bit blurrier. So, but to be honest, the Magic 6 Pro, I also had a shot where I was like half in with my face only. This is why I had to redo it, and it was also sharp in there. So it might be like a fluke. But we have a bit more background bokeh here on the 6 RSR in contrast to the 6 Pro. Maybe it's like user error, I don't know. So this appears to be a bit more in. The rest here, in terms of like cutouts, looks okayish, I would say. There's not much of a difference in terms of sharpness and details. I also don't see much of a difference. I think they're both doing a fine job there. Not the best, but it's okay. Then the main camera sensor I was also utilizing the 1X kind to see if we see much of a difference there. And again, in terms of sharpness and detail level, I think they're on par. Also what their processing looks like. It's a bit warmer, a tad warmer on the 6 RSR. It's a bit cooler here on the 6 Pro. in terms of focusing and HDR and so on, I think both are doing a nice job. In terms of bokeh, it's now the same. Not much of a difference there at all. When it comes to zoom in shots, do we see much of a difference there? Actually, no. It's both a bit noisy already in this like a cloudy condition there. And when zooming in, the detail level is exactly the same as if I would have taken it from the same camera. When I zoom in, however, further, this is now 50 times zoom. The only thing that I see here when I zoom in more than art is that the 6 Pro apparently seems to be a bit more contrasty and adding a ton more sharpening into it. As you can see here, the white outlines are a bit more pronounced than here on the 6 RSR. So the only big difference that I see, and the contrast is a bit higher. The only big difference that I see there between those two here. So might be some processing differences there, or just pure luck that they had some differences there. In general, very, very similar here. So yeah, besides like the first shot where I think the 6 RSR worked better, maybe because of the LiDAR focusing that worked a little bit better, and the Magic 6 Pro was like distracted with laser autofocus and the sun shining through the leaves. These, by the way, taken side by side, so should be the same kind of maybe slightly different angle. But you see, yeah, it is better on the Magic 6 RSR. So in daylight, you don't see much of a difference, as at least I couldn't make them produce a whole different kind of shot there. And also the HDR, where the Magic 6 RSR should have like a little bit of an advantage. I don't see much of a difference there, to be completely honest. But it might be that I couldn't make it work in my shots. Let's take a look how it will look like in the nighttime.
The Magic 6 RSR Porsche Edition has, or Porsche Design Edition has, a special super night video mode that I'm using here right now. It's recording in 4K 24 frames per second, and this gives me a very clear image, hopefully, with good stabilizations. As always, I'm walking towards the light using the internal mics. How well does it pick up my voice here? I'm now standing under the light, walking away from the light with the light in the background. How well does it handle this? And now I'm going into the dark, and let's see how well it does with me being in the dark and my face illuminated by the light in front. So what do you think about this one here? The Honor Magic 6 Pro also has a super night vision mode here, but we have a slightly different sensor here. Same sensor size as on the Magic 6 RSR, but a slightly different sensor in terms of HDR and performance. Super night video, 4K 24 frames per second. I'm walking towards the light. Internal mics, of course. How well does it pick up my voice here? How does it handle the light? I'm standing now under the light here, and now I'm going away from the light with the light in the background, now going into the dark. How well does it handle this? And now I'm in the dark, facing the light. Which one you think is better in terms of night video?
The night photos. And in the night photos with way more complicated kind of scenes, we see a difference between the 6 RSR and the 6 Pro. First of all, I think it is the lens and the coating of the lens. You will see that there's lots of more blurry and lens flare effect going on in the 6 Pro in comparison to the 6 RSR. Yes, it has also a little bit, as you can see here as well, but it's not as pronounced as here. Then the 6 RSR, this might be processing, is a bit brighter here. The sky is a bit brighter, where here it is a bit darker and appears to be maybe on the 6 Pro a little bit more realistic when it comes to how the scene actually looked like, where the 6 RSR is making it a little bit brighter in total. It's also a bit warmer when you look at the lights here, where here they appear to be a bit colder. In terms of detail level on the ultra wide shot, I think the 6 RSR is slightly better there, but again, it might be the focusing, because it looks a bit smeared and a little bit less sharp and detailed. Look at the greens here, look at the greens there. There appear to be a little bit more details there. Also here in the bush, it's a bit darker here on the 6 RSR, but also appears to be a bit more. Look at the tree there and compare it here. Look a bit sharper, maybe a bit more contrast added to the 6 RSR still, but I think it has maybe something to do with the lens as well, so that it appears to be sharper on the Magic 6 Pro. Processing might be as well involved there. Then the telezoom lens at 2.5 times zoom, again a bit brighter on the 6 RSR, it's a bit darker on the Magic 6 Pro. And when we take a look at the detail level, what we can see is that they're almost both on par, but again, the coating, the lens, better on the 6 RSR. Look at the light here, and look at here, there's like a completely clone of the light here to the left, which is not there on the Magic 6 RSR. So we have a better lens on the 6 RSR for sure. And when you look at those here, light sources there, not much of a difference there. It's a bit darker on the 6 Pro. There might be slight difference here with the readability of this, but it has something to do also with the red light, where here we have the green light. So it might be better readable there, but it's basically the same sensor. It's just the glasses difference. This is where you can see it like at night when you're shooting against the sun, against a lot of light sources, light bulbs and so on. Then the 6 RSR with its better lens coating or better lens design maybe is helping with getting a slightly better shot, also a bit brighter shot here as well. And when we zoom in, the further we zoom in, the more it becomes apparent. This is, I think now, is it 10 times already? Yes, it's 10 times. Again, we have this like kind of copy. So the coating of the lens and so on, you can see it's copying the light source there, where here it's not doing this. So yes, the coating is a bit better. Noise floor is almost the same. When we go into detail level here, it's slightly better on the 6 RSR. The color here, for example, this white background is much more realistic than this more greenish kind of background that we see on the 6 Pro. But this is like so slight that yes, there is a slight difference in terms of the telezoom lens there for sure. And it looks a bit better on the 6 RSR. Selfies, a bit brighter on the 6 RSR. Again, everything is a bit brighter on the 6 RSR. While the Magic 6 Pro keeps it a bit more warmish there. It's a bit more greenish here. And I think also it is, I'm not sure, but it looks to me a tad more processed on the 6 Pro, where the 6 RSR may be a little bit more realistic. But you will be the judge here. It's a bit more contrasty for sure as well. Here it's less contrasty. Both are doing a fine job, I would say, in the night there with this kind of test there. You can see there's a car passing by there, or parking there actually. I don't know what happened there in this shot. Anyway, it is comparable, not much of a difference between those two. And then the last shot is quite interesting because here I think the 6 RSR is a bit darker and duller, where the Magic 6 Pro is a bit brighter. You can see it here with the front car, and yeah, slightly bit out of focus there. Where here maybe the sign more readable, more in focus. Might be again something to do with the LiDAR sensor. And we go to the side there, what we can see is there is an advantage, I think, in the sensor of the 6 RSR in terms of HDR, but also in terms of detail level and retrieval. Not only the lens, you can see this wall, looks to be a wall. Here you can see maybe it's a bush, because we see more patterns, more details there. Also with the trees, compared with the tree here, again, it's a bit softer, it's a bit less sharp than on the Magic 6 RSR. There's more detail on the 6 RSR. It's not only processing, I think it has something to do with the lens and the sensor combination. That also, you see it here on this light, compared with this light, and this light, and this light, the blooming is far less. So yes, this is one of the good sides of the Magic 6 RSR. So in general, I think especially at night, you will notice this immediately that the 6 RSR is doing and performing with the main camera sensor a lot better than the Magic 6 Pro. This is why I think I can give it here 0.1 point more in terms of main camera sensor than the Magic 6 Pro. Mainly because of the night performance where I just saw it. But there are other occurrences because I was testing the Magic 6 RSR also against the Vivo X100 Ultra, and this test will come out pretty soon as well. I see some advantages of this new sensor on the Magic 6 RSR that I couldn't directly show you here against the Magic 6 Pro because I don't have a fair comparison that I can show you here. But you can see some HDR advantages on the Magic 6 RSR with its main camera sensor. This is why I will give it 0.1 point more here in terms of photo performance. This leads us to my conclusion and ranking. TLDR, the Honor Magic 6 Pro has 4.440 points, where the Honor Magic 6 RSR has 4.490 points. So a huge difference, isn't it? Not so much. First of all, let's take a look at the main camera photo quality. At daylight, almost identical, but you notice if you go to 100% and pixel peep a little bit, that you have, first of all, better sharpness. It might be to the LiDAR sensor, better autofocus, but lens setup is better, especially at nighttime. You will notice that immediately when it comes to lens flare effects, when it comes to details as well at night, where it's falling a bit apart on the 6 Pro in comparison to the 6 RSR, with more details and more sharpness, a bit more contrasty look. So the processing is a bit different there. In general, this all together gives us 4.7 points on the RSR, where the Pro has only 4.6 points. The RSR is, I think, still not on the same level as the 1-inch type sensors like the Leica 900 or even the IMX 989, but I have to compare it with those phones in more detail to be absolutely sure. But it's definitely better than the 6 Pro. Ultra wide angle, not much of a difference. There is a slight difference, like I said, in lens setup. So we get less lens flare effects that you see especially at night with lots of bright light sources there. But it's not so significant that I would say, okay, I give it another point more here in ultra wide. The same goes for the zoom camera photo quality. That is also slightly better. You see the better lens or lenses on the 6 RSR that is a bit of problematic on the 6 Pro, maybe to its lens design or even the glass in front of the lenses, which causes some ghosting effects there as well with light sources. Still not enough where I would say a huge benefit, where I can give it to 0.1 point more, which on the main camera it is more than this. Video recording quality, however, is better. It's not only better with the main camera sensor being better, like we saw on photos already, with a bit more details, a bit more sharpness. It's a bit more contrasty for sure. It's less punchy in terms of colors, and I think the Magic 6 Pro could also, maybe Honor can update a little bit less punchy colors, and they could also get a little bit more points there. In terms of sharpness, it's a bit better on the 6 RSR. Again, might be lens setup, might be the processing in general, maybe also a bit more sharpness added. I have to say, I didn't find that the sharpness on the Magic 6 RSR was too artificial. It was just general, I think, the lens setup that helps there with the better maybe sensor there. This is why we have 0.1 point more. Also combining the front-facing video, because video recording quality is not only for the main cams but also the front-facing camera, and this consistently is or keeps my face better in focus than the 6 Pro, and this is also very, very good. This is why the video recording quality is better there on the 6 RSR. Autofocus performance, like I said, is better on the 6 RSR. It's better than most others. We have this LiDAR sensor, and it is noticeable with all 3 lenses that the autofocus is a bit quicker, snappier, but also a bit more accurate than on the 6 Pro. And this is something that I noticed, and this is why we have here 0.1 times more points. Front cam quality is basically the same. There's not much of a difference there in terms of photos. Videos, we said already, video recording quality is better on the 6 RSR, but in terms of photos, I don't notice much of a difference. I would even say that sometimes the Magic 6 Pro, with not so over brightening the face, looks maybe a bit more realistic than the 6 RSR. Camera UI is the same. Goes for the extra features. They're basically the same, so not much of a difference. What leaves this in comparison there leaves us with the 6 RSR in our camera ranking there. And here is the ranking. As you can see here, it takes the 4th spot, the Honor Magic 6 RSR, overtaking the Vivo X100 Pro, overtaking the Oppo Find X6 Pro and the Xiaomi 14 Ultra if you come from the Magic 6 Pro. As you see here, the Magic 6 Pro is on the 7th spot here now with 4.40 points, the same as the Mate 60 Pro as well on the 7th spot. Where are the huge differences against the X100 Pro? I think the X100 Pro, even it has the IMX 989, has a better camera sensor there and slightly better main camera quality. However, the ultra-wide camera is a weakness on the Vivo X100 Pro, where the Honor doesn't have the best there, but at least it is on par with all the top ones, as you can see here, so it's better for sure. It's not beating the Oppo, however, that has a very good ultra-wide angle there, very large sensor as well. Where the Vivo X100 Pro is winning against the Honor is zoom camera photo quality. The zoom camera photo quality on the 6 RSR, even though we have so much high megapixel count, is not so good. It's on par with the Magic 6 Pro. It's a bit of a disappointment, and it is on par with the Find X6 Pro there as well. Video recording quality is on par with the X100 Pro now, on par with also the Pura 70 Ultra, and only the Oppo and the Vivo are better there. The autofocus performance is better on the Magic 6 RSR than on the Vivo X100 Pro, and better than everyone else almost. Only the exception is the Xperia 1 Mark 6 and I think the Xperia 1 Mark 5 that had excellent autofocus there, that I could never make them out of focus in video, or especially in video is like very it's necessary, but also in photo mode they were always in focus. And all the other ones I could once or twice, especially the Vivo ones, I could get out of focus quite easily with a lot of reflections and so on. Where the Magic 6 RSR I think is a bit better than the Magic 6 Pro, and as the Magic 6 Pro is on par as the other ones, I give it here the benefit of the doubt to give it 4.6 points, but I have to compare it against the X100 Ultra, and I try to make it somehow also an autofocus performance here and there, especially for video, but I think it's spot on the Magic 6 RSR as well. It's not on the same snappiness as the 1 Mark 6, especially when it comes to autofocusing on small subjects, like I did like a small YouTube Shorts video with the 6 RSR, was holding like a little bit of a little earbud case, and it took a while for it to focus on this earbud case. But it was focusing on it. Vivo X100 Pro and Ultra, for example, with the main back camera refused to focus, and it was not that it's like too close of a focus distance because they have 1-inch type sensors, because the Oppo didn't have this issue, the Pura didn't have this issue, and the Magic 6 RSR was focusing very consistently on stuff, but a lot slower than the Xperia 1 Mark 6 would pick up those things. So yes, the 6 RSR is a bit better in terms of autofocus here, but again, I will test this out against the X100 Ultra next to see if this will work. Front camera is 4.6. It's one of the best front cameras, I think, in terms of what you can take and get together with the Pura 70 Ultra, and it's on level with the Magic 6 Pro. A camera UI and extra features are, like I said, basically better on the X100 Pro for sure, especially extra features there, but also the camera UI looks a lot better. But yeah, the front-facing camera is worse for sure on the Oppo and on the Vivo and on the Xiaomi as well. So yeah, 4.490 points for the Honor Magic 6 RSR. I hope it's not too biased, because yeah, I bought this Magic 6 RSR for myself as main device to use for the rest probably of this year. I still have the Magic 6 Pro. My main SIM card is the Magic 6 Pro right now, because I'm doing the long-term review test of the Magic 6 Pro, but afterwards probably it will either go on the Pura 70 Ultra, that is the next on the list for the long-term review, but I will always have the Magic 6 RSR in my pocket as well as secondary device for sure. Pure joy to use this device, so maybe a little bit of bias there as well, because I don't want to have that buyer's remorse, it being too bad there. But what do you think? Write it down in the comments. That's everything for this video. Hope you enjoyed it. Thanks for watching. Until the next time.